And that's coming from someone who's not as much of a coffee drinker, so that's high praise.
Yeah, I don't really drink coffee, but 2 seconds in and I've
Coffee is a delicious
Of course you say that just as I'm taking a drink.
If I can get someone to do a spit take, I've done my job.
I always try to have something kind of funny in the intro.
Oh, no.
I think I may have found that comedy gem, sir.
You're welcome.
Well, hey guys, what's going on here? River Sullivan coming at you right here, right now, pre-recorded for your live listening pleasure yet again, for another episode of Season 4 of This Evening Tonight. And with me, not this week, the silver fox of the sultry sippins of coffee, Scott, unfortunately couldn't make it today. But I do have a couple guests here on the show. One, the addition to the extended families of brothers from other mothers, and really our first-time female guest, as you could say, the sister from other misters. So without further ado, I introduce you all, the lovely listening audience, to Matt and Mel. What's going on, guys?
Hi.
What's going on, River? How are things?
Oh, things are things. Lots of things. Stuff and things. Things and stuff. I need you to talk louder.
Okay, it's a real shame Scott couldn't be here.
There we go. Crank it, Randy.
Yeah.
So, you guys already tried the coffee?
I was getting ready to right now, live for the audience, live-ish.
So, real quick, guys, this week's coffee that we are approaching here is Pete's brand whole bean coffee, the medium roast known as Big Bang, the vibrant blast of tropical fruit in a smooth medium style. Whole bean, of course, as we've always grounded here before, so let's give that a shot. It's very hot, and that has nothing to do with flavor. I drank that too fast, but it's a good coffee.
I'm a fan.
I enjoy it.
I am very much a coffee person, so that I might have to get some of this for myself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's really good. Like, they actually can taste the fruit.
And it's subtle. It's not overpowering.
So, there's really not been much of an intro about both of you guys here, but what we like to do on the show here before, that we have people that, it's not really being an unknown, it's really the fact of having that everyone has a story. Everybody has their travels of stories untold, and that's a little thing that we like to do on the show to really get that stuff down. So it can be put on the indelible internet ink and blasted through the sound waves for all of eternity.
Wonderful.
So,
Oh, my.
Matthew,
Yeah.
I have a couple questions for you.
Fire away.
So, for the audience, I do know Matt here. He works with me here at the other job, but he's always seems to be doing a little something here. I always see little snippets and little hints of things going on Facebook. Like when you had that little Rusky hat, and I was like, what is this? Come to find out, you were in a music video with this punk rock band known as the Jasons.
Yes.
And where they at? I wanted to say it was Fairmont that I'd seen on their website before.
They're out of several areas, majority Morgantown, New Jersey area, sort of a local band, and the local scene very, very heavy in the punk rock genre.
Yeah.
But we filmed in Fairmont.
Okay. So how did you get on board with that?
It's kind of a lengthy story, but I'll give you the abridged version because we only have so much time.
We have all the time in the world.
Oh, man. I happen to know some of the members. 3D is the bassist, great guy when he's asleep, and I've often told them, hey, I love what you guys are doing. I love your videos. Very witty, very funny guys.
You knew these guys before they were the Jasons, or you discovered them as the Jasons and then kind of became friends with them?
Yeah. That I discovered them as the Jasons, kind of became friends with them. And started watching their videos, and it surprised me their wit. Very funny, very kind of humorous guys. Don't take themselves super serious. Mm-hmm. And I told him, should you ever need someone to kind of clown around, I would love the opportunity.
That is kind of cool there. It's to discover something that you love, get in touch with them, know that they, I guess, love you back to the point where, like, we want to make you a part of this. And to be a part of the thing that you love, that's surreal to me.
It was really nice, and when they pitched me sort of the project, they said, I have this friend, I did some pro wrestling early on, and one of the gentlemen I did it with, a man by the name of John Mauser Strength Athletics, for anyone who might know it.
Yeah, he did it, was Strength Dynamics, or, was that gym, yeah.
Yeah, and They had him playing an evil Russian, and they said we need a manager.
He was the Russian?
He was the Russian.
I didn't know Mauser was the Russian.
He was,
okay.
yeah. So he was the Russian, and we know each other. So they said we kind of need someone to come out, be his sort of like the evil overlord, the driving force. They said, "Would you want to do it?" And of course, I said, "Absolutely."
Oh, I showed the old lady the video. She just looked at it, shook her head like that. I'm like, that's Matt. That's him. That's awesome. The cinematography of that video, by the way, I don't know who shot it, but it was wonderful. I've learned to become an audiophile and like amateur videographer here over the years. Like, I love this kind of stuff. And then to see that with people that you know that are in it, like, again, surreal is the best thing that I can use to size that experience up.
It was the whole cast and crew. Their names escape me at the moment, but I'm sure you could look it up under the Jason's website. But they were all super talented. Everyone was professional. So great time. What
was your favorite part of the music video experience? That whole thing, like that whole day, was it?
It was we shot in a warehouse. It was freezing cold. The warehouse didn't have any indoor plumbing, so it was kind of like a real weird situation to kind of settle into. And then they present me the costume, the monocle.
Sounds like you guys were like filming in Detroit, first of all.
Oh, it was. Well,
somebody stole all the copper. The meth heads were cowered over in the corner.
There was like old cars and like piles of raw steel and like a ladder. You could have filmed a horror movie there. But I have to say it was just sort of like going through the various takes. If you watch the video to the end, it's called Killer Call Me for Mommy. They sort of put me on the spot, and they're like shouting out. They're like,
they gave you direction. I saw that in the end of the YouTube video. They're like, pretend the champ got hit, and you're
loved it. And we were just laughing so hard, having a good time. It was a very open. They were very open to ideas too. If someone had one, you could kind of say it, and they're like, well, yeah, let's try that.
Nice. So also with that, definitely feel free to give these guys a shout out if you want. Take as much time as you want, because again, we just, as of today's analytics, had broken up into 20 other countries. Slowly this evening tonight has gone worldwide, and I'm loving every minute of it. So any person that I can get to get a shout out, to get their names out there to help out, because God knows having guests on the show helps me out, gives me somebody to talk to. It's either that or it's just me and Kat Damon sitting here staring at the wall, just thinking about life. So
I thank you for that, River, and again, congratulations on the reaching the far and wide. I'd like to shout out then the Jasons on Mom's Basement Records, amazing punk rock band. Check them out on YouTube. Download their music. Go see them live if we ever do that again. And then Mauser Strength Dynamics was also there, and for palling around and being a good sport about everything. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about them. It was a great experience. Good guys, good decent guys, good God-fearing Americans.
And guys, we will include a link in the description below here at whatever form of the social media it is that you choose to listen to us on here. So you can check out Mauser Strength Dynamics. You can check out the Jasons. Also, we, as always in every week's show, we do include a link in the description below for the coffee. So I also understand here that you'd spoken to me, Matt, about the Morgantown Writers Group, and I had a couple questions here for you to go along with that. So, Mel, are you involved here with this group as well?
Yes.
Okay, so how about you tell me, because I'm an idiot and I didn't do any research, and find out what the definition of said group is. I assume it's having to do with a group of writers of various prose.
Yeah, George Lee has been, he's led the group for 27 years now. Mm-hmm. So we're open to all different kinds of writing, be it poetry or prose or fiction, nonfiction, everything like that. And the idea is we submit our work, and then we get reviews back to help improve and maybe get published, fingers crossed.
So who does it get submitted to? Is it just to the group?
Yeah, George is the one who collects everything and then sends it out for us.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. He's a retired college professor. There's several professors in the group, various writers. Some of them have had great success being published online. Some of them have been on national bestseller lists. Some of them they've self-published on Amazon and been very successful. Mm-hmm. So it's and of all genres, all walks of life. It's a good melting pot.
I like it because I've done a few things. I'm pretty sure I did 2 audiobooks for Audible, and my God, the work involved in that. The first one I did was a Western, and it was 156 working hours that I put in for a 5.5-hour book.
Good grief.
The author was, I won't say horrible. He was difficult to work for. It was it James R. Matthews. I liked it. It was a Western. I got to do a lot of Southern accents and stuff because it was like Texas based. And then the other one was by Yvette Bostic. So ended up doing the first novella for her as an audiobook, and I had a blast doing that. So you know anybody that's trying to break into that out of the Morgantown Writers Group, feel free to have them reach out to me as well, because I've learned a lot in that. It is a shitload of work. You guys like pay any dues, or is it just...
There's no cost to join. Normally they have sort of like a format. If you're new to the group, they kind of just have you show up your first meeting or two and just sort of observe, see if you like it, see the format, see if you feel like it's something you want to come back to, because some people don't take criticism well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can all admit none of us are perfect.
No.
You know, I'm sure even Stephen King shows up with a rough draft that makes some mistakes, but some people, I think they just want to show up and be told how great they are.
Yeah, the way I word for me is any product, anything that I put out, whether it be a voiceover or whether it would be an episode of this show, it's edited and done to where I'm convinced that it's the best thing ever that I've ever made. But then every time, like the very next day when I listen to it, I go, shit, could have been better.
Right.
But that's that constantly evolving mindset that it boggles my mind to know that there's people that will create something and then automatically go, there's nothing that can be done with it. You know, it's perfect. You tell me this, fuck you. Like
it can be frustrating, especially if you spend a lot of time and effort into your review and you do your best to be helpful, and then they just brush it aside. And
some people take critique for insult because they think you're trying to break them down. Or I know that there can be very actually kind of competitive amongst writers, as is I guess with a lot of professions. I didn't know that until I started dealing with other writers that. You try to help them on something, and they go, well, I'm the author. You're the dumb shit with a microphone. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, you're right. How many books you write? Yeah, you're right. None. I didn't write any. But
you know, I actually took I'm at WVU for an English major, so I've taken an editing class, and this was one of the things that we actually addressed in the editing class was how to interact with an author to keep them from outright rejecting your suggestions. So it's a thing.
There's classes on this?
Oh yeah, on editing?
I have had zero training. I started out with Sony Vegas like 14 when I was making YouTube videos and just figured it out. Like,
oh, I mean,
I'm sorry, that kind of just blew me away. Like I'm having a come to Jesus moment.
maybe it's a different type of editing. When I talk about it, I'm meaning like reading and reviewing stories, or you know, like what a newspaper editor would do. Yeah.
I think editing in general, though, I should have taken a class.
Yeah, the English major at WVU has three different paths you can take, and one of them is professional writing and editing. So that's the way I went.
Okay. Did you take anything?
No, I have a high school diploma, and I'm out there trying to write stories.
I look over and you're just staring deep into my eye soles.
I'm a little scared right now.
Well, don't let him downplay himself. His stories are excellent.
So, yeah, I understand you have some published writings?
Yeah, I've had some luck with some, God bless, some charitable people letting me have some publishing some of my stories. I have a story that my first one ever published was in the Big Book of Bizarro. It's by Burning Bulb Publishing. A gentleman who co-wrote the original Night of the Living Dead. His last name is Russo, I believe. John Russo, perhaps.
Okay.
He has a story in there, and and ever since then I've just had kind of a lot of luck.
You mind if I pull up any of your work, or?
I mean, if you can find it, please go right ahead. Although the earlier stuff's kind of rough.
What am I Google boxing?
You could do Goodreads with my full name, Matthew Smallwood. You could just Google Matthew Smallwood author. Although I have not had anything published in a while, but the Morgantown Writers Group is putting out a story collection here soon. That's going to feature stories from members past and present.
And two of yours?
And two of mine and some of Melissa's as well. It's going to be a solid read. I think there's going to be genres for everyone, and if you want to support local artists, I definitely say check it out. Look for that to be coming out soon.
Okay.
It'll be called River and Stone.
Nice.
I came up with that title.
See, it makes me think of Rock and Stone because I'm playing Deep Rock Galactic on PC. It's space dwarves.
Nice.
Anyway, so I got pulled up here on Goodreads. We have 27 results. America the Horrific.
Yes, sir.
That's one of yours?
It is. I believe they're all horror anthologies, maybe one sci-fi, two sci-fi, but mostly I deal in the horror genre.
Well, I like the opening for it, and I'm going to do this right for you because I'm going to have some music to it and everything in post because just reading is like an empty stretch of highway, a freak electrical storm, a bus full of strangers and a mysterious bus driver with a rather peculiar agenda. America the Horrific, an anthology of horror, presents 11 tales of horror in the tradition of classics. What did you give me? It's contagious. Am I drinking some of the cocky over here?
It might be some of that cocky.
Hot cocky.
He snuck it into your coffee.
I knew this coffee tasted penisy. So when a freak storm strands a bus on a deserted stretch of highway, the passengers find themselves suddenly disconnected from the world. To pass the time, the driver suggests that each passenger share something about their hometown. But only if it's something scary. The passengers soon learn that despite their differences, they do share one thing in common. Their shared world is a very scary place. I like that. Like, straight up, that is a solid kind of opener to it. I'm like,
yeah.
I feel like this should be Black Mirror. Like, I'm just, like, it feels like a Black Mirror episode, like, waiting in the wings.
A lot of people put in a lot of hard work in this stuff, and some of my earlier work in those stories is they're very generous to give me a spot, because I definitely didn't. I was very headstrong. I know what I'm doing. I don't need help. I'm going to do this, and I needed help.
Now, I have much respect for anybody that writes, like, fiction. Nonfiction, I would...
It's different.
Would say is a little bit easier, because you're reporting true events.
It depends on how you tell it. If you're doing creative nonfiction.
For the most part. But I mean, like, just true fiction, like, I can never do this.
Oh, you could. You could.
I try, like, see, here's the thing. I've tried to write, and, when I ran a gaming channel on YouTube for a little bit, I did a pilot episode. It took 96 hours to create a 28-minute pilot, and that was using the game Subnautica that I turned into a series. That I had to do the voiceover for the characters, the special effects, the music, all that. Mm-hmm. 96 hours, 28 minutes long, and it has never seen the light of day. Oh. Because I looked at it and I went, I hate it.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
I'm extremely hard on myself, and that is a bad problem to have. Unless I found out that I'm good at other things like editing. Mm-hmm. Apparently I have a knack for picking out the music and doing the editing and everything in this right, so I enjoy that part of it because I get to bring my art of bullshittery to life, and that's why we have this show.
Well, don't sell yourself short. I always tell the story to any sort of artist or anyone working that Stephen King's first big breakout book was Carrie, and he says in an interview that he was nearing the end of the book and he disliked it so much, like he was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. This is terrible. I just keep getting rejected. He threw it in the trash. He was like, I'm just done with it. And the story goes that his wife actually dug it out of the trash and said, well, I like it. Would you finish it? And he's like, I don't want to. She's like, well, just finish it for me, like a laugh. And he did, and a few other events, he actually submitted it, and as we all know, it got accepted. It's like, it's part of this culture today.
Say, it's like a cult classic now, and it's been remade into that movie?
Yeah, movies.
Twice, at least two Carrie movies that I can think of on the top of my head.
You see a girl in a prom dress covered in blood, you instantly know
her story. You know who that is.
But it's just funny that he was like, oh, this is terrible.
He's like, oh, there's a tragic Shark Week somewhere, you know?
Yeah, right.
So, what kind of stuff do you guys really kind of like to write? Like, what's your go-to?
Oh, boy. Well, Matt we already know does horror a
I got
lot.
Something for you, too, that you're going to like horror. I'll get into that in a minute, but go ahead.
I have a pet project that's sci-fi and fantasy, but I also do magical realism and whatever I need to do for my class projects.
Okay.
Melissa has also been published, and she wrote a story dealing with, I believe it was a shooting at a mall.
Oh, no.
That was published by an English magazine, was it not?
It was, but it has an unfortunate title, which was at the same time when the It movie came out. Oh, now I can't even remember. It's been so long.
Was it Pennywise something?
No.
Pound Foolish and Pennywise.
I'm not particularly proud of that story, actually. he actually is the one that convinced me to submit it. I was just going to let it
Fester.
Just disappear into the files. But he said, no, you need to put that out there. And they took it.
Hell yes. Now, I work a little bit, well, I work, I guess it was pretty much full-time on the side with another YouTube channel known as A Distant Noise. And this guy is, the author's name is Diego Turan. He's out of Argentina, lives in Argentina, and he's always wanted to write his original horror stories, but he's always wanted to hear them in English. And through the power of Reddit, which is where I got my start with voiceover, he was the first person I got to work for. And I used a little Blue Yeti snowball and recorded the first story in audio drama. It was called Communication, where you're like this serial killer, where I play as the serial killer, and I'm penning this letter to this, dear doctor, do you know why I killed that girl? Like, if you haven't checked him out, I'll shoot you the link.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he's blown up a hell of a lot better than the YouTube channel for here is. We only got like 48, maybe 50 subscribers on YouTube, but the bread and butter that's carrying us is the RSS feed for actual podcasting. More people want to listen to it than listen to it and see it.
That makes sense. Half the time I will listen to a podcast and do laundry or dishes or whatever.
Well, we market it on YouTube because we do what I call the bullshit fireplace, which is that fireplace over there that because of YouTube's COPA laws, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, I used to use game footage just as something like a white noise. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to get a $42,000 fine because they might think the video is for kids, so we recorded an hour of the fireplace. But Kat Damon is laying right there in the bottom looking all crazy-eyed. So if you watch it on YouTube, you get an hour's worth of the fireplace, so you have a little ambiance, while you're cleaning the house. But, oh, yeah, there it is. So, yeah, he's got 210 subs, Distant Noise. Everything that I like about this is there's so many channels out there that do creepypastas. Mm-hmm. And they read the stories. And some of them are good, but they're not theirs. They're taking something off the creepypasta site, putting some music and a few audio effects to it, and then calling it good. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to shit on anybody for doing that. It's good. Hey, it's a good deal. If you make good work, you make good work. I like this because all of Diego's work is absolutely original. It comes out of his head. I've never read anything like it. Like, there are some on there. The first story I did for him was the communication one, but he gave me like 2 other ones to choose from. And the other 2 were like, man, this is too dark. I can't, like, my morals were still, I still had some morals left. I was like, I can't read that. They said, oh, no problem. You can just read that one. And I loved it.
If Diego writes horror, me and him are brothers, though we don't know it.
Yeah.
Because it's a genre that doesn't seem to get explored as much.
It surprises me for the production value that some of these guys put into it. He's only got 210 subs right now.
Diego, I'm pulling for you, brother. We'll get there.
Me too, Diego.
We'll scare him into loving us.
Some of these, I'm telling you, man, like, check them out, because some of these, like, even with me just sitting here reading them, like I'm sitting there going, Jesus. Like some of these have some hellacious plot twists to them. You're like, oh, man, this is okay. Well, let's see here. Do you have any aspirations? I guess, well, getting back on track here. You guys have any aspirations? I would guess as a writer, everybody wants to write that bestseller.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Oh boy. I almost feel like getting to that level of, since how we were talking about Stephen King, getting to his level is like hitting the lottery. So I would rather just focus on putting out work that I can be proud of. Even if it's not widely read, I want to be able to say, hey. You want
to stay true to yourself.
Yeah.
You want to write what you want to write, not what other people want you to hear.
Yeah.
You don't want to be niche. You do want to be niche, but you don't want to be cliche.
Yeah. So really, Matt always says the first draft, you're telling the story to yourself. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you make the changes that you need to make or edit, make it flow better. But that has really stuck with me about, hey, you need to tell the story for yourself first.
And that's the thing, too, I've learned about storytelling is with some of the authors that I've worked with over the years, a lot of them, it's a labor of love to create that novel, that thing that they want. And when I was going through one of these novels I was helping somebody work on, they knew the characters. There was like 15 characters, and I was like, I don't know anything about them. And they're like, oh, well, they're this, this, and this. I said, but you have to understand your reader doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of detail writing, my opinion, my best detail writer for what I've read, I love Christopher Paolini in the Aragon series. Everybody here, you ever read those?
He was in high school too when he.
Yeah,
wrote
he was
that.
like 15 or 16 when he wrote the first one. Yeah, and it's a 4 series, and they were my favorite books ever because he had the perfect level of detail. Wasn't too much, wasn't too little, wasn't that Tolkien level where in The Hobbit it was 36 pages of just describing that fucking Hobbit's home. Like,
I read that in high school, and I just didn't.
I was ready to rip my hair out.
I just read through it. I didn't even.
I feel like it robs you of your imagination.
Well, don't get me wrong. Peter Jackson, I'm sure, was very happy when he did the movies because, hey, we have the drawings right here. Just use imagination land, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I get it. It's a small town. Okay, can we go on?
They only got a stoplight and a Pizza Hut here. This stupid Shire.
Well, there's two schools. I thought about that too. It's too much. Is there such a thing as too much description? You know, do you start stealing from their imagination? Or I know some people, they want all the description they can get. If that truck's got rust spots, they want to know how many and where.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. For me, I believe that there is too much detail depending on what it is that you're reading. Because some people, you want that imagination. That's the whole point of taking the journey in a book is it's all playing up in here.
Yeah, the reader needs to be able to participate as well, I think.
Now, unless you've derived a certain thing for a character, I think, you want that reader to know exactly what that person looks like. There's nothing wrong with that. I just feel like a lot of the ones when they go too deep into character, not really development, but description, borderlines on the books with the dudes that lost their shirts. You know what I mean? The
bodice rippers?
Yeah.
Yeah. She still wants me to do an audio version of one of those because, by the way, Amazon, it's ACX is the Audible service for people like me to record those. It's like 80,000 titles of books on there for recording that people are wanting recorded. Easily half is dudes that lost their shirts or dudes that are part werewolf next to like a scantily clad lady on the cover.
Oh yeah, when you buy one, you get a free Marlboro and a cat. I've known ladies in my life that'll burn through one of those every 2 days.
Don't look at me; it's not me.
A free Marlboro and a cat.
All right.
Just collect the whole set.
Yeah, I mean, really. You can just picture the lady reading it. You know she's in sweatpants and a sweater.
A fine snifter of some box merlot.
Yeah. All right. She's eating a lot of beefaroni in her life.
You got it. So, who are some of the authors that have inspired you over the years? So we've already definitely covered Stephen King, I'd have to say, for both of you.
And I think most horror writers today get compared to him because he does sort of cast a big shadow. I get compared to him a lot, which is fair, but it's also sort of unfair because there's other writers that he even himself kind of like we lay we bow to. One of those, of course, being Ray Bradbury. A lot of people don't consider him a horror writer, but he wrote Something Wicked This Way Comes, which I think establishes, the Dark Evil Carnival.
Didn't he do that? It was Fahrenheit something?
Yeah, Fahrenheit.
451?
Yep. Richard Matheson is a very famous, very underrated horror writer who also wrote What Dreams May Come.
I'm sorry not to interrupt you, but you said Ray Bradbury, and for whatever reason, my brain crossed into Gene Roddenberry, and I was like, Star Trek? I didn't know he wrote horror.
Let's go down that road.
The captain's log was haunted.
Like, what did they find in his toilet? The captain's log. But, I give a lot of credit Ramses Campbell, but Richard Matheson's sort of like I think most horror writers kind of drink from his water, whether they know it, because he's real famous. A lot of the Twilight Zone episodes he also wrote. There's Something on the Plane.
Oh, that one. That one.
The Shrinking Man. Just so many. The Haunting of Hell House, doesn't get a lot of attention, but I think he sort of established the idea that horror isn't always in spooky old castles. Horror might be, in the 7-Eleven down the street.
Yeah, that's the one thing I liked about when I was a kid. I remember watching the old Twilight Zone series.
So good.
And the one I'll never forget, there was like a Marine, a space cadet, a lady in a tutu, and they were stuck in this prison. And it was this circular prison.
The high walls.
The high walls, yeah. And because there wasn't all that big budget for just blatant gore and, people didn't have the taste for it. They weren't desensitized yet like we are. And but you couldn't have a lot of blood and like scary monsters and everything because it was a TV series. So they had to make you retreat into your deepest fears of your brain and make that known, that being encased and closed in and not knowing a way out or why, and nobody's talking to you, nobody's telling you anything. Then you find out they were like action figures in a wastebasket.
Yeah.
That still blows my mind. Like, I remember thinking of that as a kid. I was like, what? That's like the first time you find out that Vader's Luke's father. Just saying, to put that in perspective.
Those old Twilight Zone episodes, they really withstand the test of time, too. Like, you can watch one and still those twist endings. And Gene Roddenberry, he's in the suit smoking the cigarette.
God, I love that.
Submitted for your approval.
Prepare to go on a journey beyond sight and sound. As he takes another hit of his Misty Virginia Slim 9000. Like, God. They don't make men like that anymore.
No, they don't.
So what about you, Mel? Any other inspirational authors there for you on the table?
I am not quite as well versed in the horror stuff. I really like Stephen Lawhead. He is a I don't even know how to describe it. It's a fantasy, but it's dealing with Celtic mythology, so it's really neat. And then I read a lot as a kid. Francine Rivers, C.S. Lewis.
No relation.
But recently, I have so much reading that I do for school that I don't get to read for fun anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also for the magazine. So it's kind of like if I had a choice, I would finish off Dark Tower, and then I've got...
I still have not finished those.
Yeah, I need to.
I read the first one when it first came out years ago, and then eBay had just become a thing, and I ordered the whole set. And when I got it, I opened it up, and it was a brick with like a paper note that just said, "Fuck you." And that was back before we had all the security on things. I'll never forget that. And then I was like, I'm not reading the Dark Tower. No, it's haunted. Like, I got a brick out of the deal. And I paid $60 for a brick.
Oh,
that's
man.
pretty much how the rest of the series goes. Brick and then fuck you.
So is the abridged version.
I'd like to hear you narrate that, please.
Can't. Going a little bit away here from the realm of writing and horror and the other versions of reading things. What's this I hear about you doing a pro wrestling match? Because you said that, and that, like, I had to put that on the back burner, and it's been getting ready to boil over, so I had to definitely ask you that.
So, like every other kid out there, I did a little bit of backyard wrestling, was obsessed with it. We did that through high school. We were kind of like known as the backyard wrestling kids, so we would get people to come over and watch. And of course, as we got into our 20s and 30s, early 20s, not so much in 30s as we got older, but as we got into our 20s, we kind of started, trying to pursue it a little bit more legitly. But through a series of events, a friend of ours had gone to Fairmont State and he had met a semi-professional wrestler there who was also attending college. He had a ring set up and would bring us up on the weekends. There was a police barracks or a police training center nearby. We would kind of put on free shows for them. And it would also kind of be an opportunity for us to sort of work in front of a live crowd, get used to the ring, hitting the ropes. Which those rope cables, you hit those the first time, it'll knock the breath out of you. Like, people assume, they're like, oh, it's like bungee cord. It is not.
Having known you for so long, Matt, and we've hung out before, I didn't know this part about your life, and I'm just trying to picture you on them ropes. Like, I know, like, you had to have been, like, the showmanship. Like, that's all I can think of right now. Like, I wish I was there to see it.
It was interesting. I'm sure we were terrible by pro wrestling standards. Like, to look back, I'm sure they were like, oh, God,
I bet you had a blast though.
It was a lot of fun. We wrestled with a gentleman. It was Chris Nunn. He played semi-pro Canadian football. He was 6'11", 400 pounds. They called him the Colossus. He'd even gotten offered a wrestling tryout, but they wanted him to drop 50 pounds. And I believe, as the story goes, his coach on his football team was like, absolutely not. So just kind of, I'm going to stay and do this. But so to make a long story short, we met a promoter while we were putting on these little shows, and he knew a man, TNA Wrestling. They had regional promotions, gentlemen who would be with part of their production who would put on regional shows for them, which is where they would send a few stars off the television show TNA Impact Wrestling. They would come kind of be on this show. So they might loan out AJ Styles, the Monster Abyss, Dusty Rhodes at the time, Jeff Jarrett. So they would come to the show, and they'd be a few big names, and we'd be the underneath guys, the guys you've never heard of. This on the wrestling flyer
the
when it says
undercard fighter.
Yeah, featuring and more. We were the and more. But so through a series of events, we got offered to do one of these shows. So of course we jumped on the opportunity. We were green as grass, didn't really know what we were doing, but we curtain pulled, which means you're the first match. And your only job is to really get the crowd sort of like awake. Like they've settled into their seats, they're a little restless. So those are sort of, in pro wrestling, what little bit I've learned is each match sort of serves their point. And the first match, I just say basic, go out there, don't do too much because we got a long show, but do enough where the crowd's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so I think we went 7 minutes, a tag match.
So what was your wrestling name?
The Wood.
The Wood.
We had a rule in our backyard federation is you didn't get to pick your own name because people would show up and be like, Death Dragger 2000. And you just finally
Nighthawk versus Dragon. Sunday.
So we just started giving each other names, and it would just get, okay, you're just 6'6" guy, 270 pounds, your name's Buttercup. And he'd be like, okay, because our rule was if you complained, you got a worse name. So it was Serendipity and the Wood, the Dip and Stick connection, taking on Buttercup and Fetal Juice, the Coke and Poke Express. So we lost that night too. I'm sorry. But it was nice getting to hang out backstage with some of the more famous wrestlers.
Yeah. So they used those names. Like there was a guy with a microphone yelling at people. Already in the ring, weighing in at 200 whatever pounds, the Wood. And you're like, oh, these are the undercards. Whoever's coming in next is kicking the shit out of the Wood. I already know.
It was funny. The guy came backstage to get our names, and as we're going through the tag teams, it's like, oh, they're the Token Poke Express, and he was like, okay. And I was like, we're the Dip and Stick connection. He was like, Jesus Christ.
Did y'all lose a bet?
But there's footage out there of it. We, of course, are not on said footage. They made sure to edit us out. I don't even think they filmed us. I don't.
They're just pointing around. Lens cap was on. Sorry.
I don't blame them. I'm not mad about it. And God bless all the guys who were training hard that let us sort of show up and embarrass them. I don't think we did too bad. But, we didn't set the town on fire.
Oh, man.
But it was a good experience. We got to meet Dusty Rhodes, and he talked to us, and it was a fun night. A lot of fun, a lot of bruises.
Hell yes. You in wrestling over there, Mel?
No. But I did work out at the Vikings gym, and that's kind of how we met in the first place. I attempted to do a 5K. That was the plan, and I ended up just doing a bunch of weightlifting. But I was wanting to write a fight scene, and I don't know anything about fighting, so I asked the owner if he could walk me through it, and he's like, oh, no, I know this guy who's a writer. Email him instead, and the rest is history.
Directed you to Miyagi-san.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got a weird email one day.
Oh, he was so terse. I'm telling you.
I want to fight you.
I was not terse. I thought she was going to want my credit card information.
Why so terse?
Right? I guess I'm a very terse man.
They call me the Tersinator.
After I looked that word up, I was quite perturbed.
Well, after that, it was several months before, he gave me back the one, I don't know what you want, but okay. And then I don't remember why we sent another email again, but eventually I coaxed him into coming to the writers group, and that was the first time we actually met.
I did not want to go at all.
Did you wrap your midsection with phone books and duct tape to protect the kidneys should they try to, chloroform you and then take them out for the black market?
I did. I injected myself with adrenaline before going in so they couldn't drug me.
Go in there, kicking through doors. What are you doing? I'm looking for that bathtub full of ice. Okay, you people are legit.
Well, what makes it even funnier is that they hold the meetings in the library downtown. So you're talking about doing this type of stuff in the Morgantown library.
I couldn't have made a worse first expression either.
Kick the doors in silently.
Impression.
Where's the bathtub full of ice?
it was like a gang jumping me in. Like they send me notes because there's a certain protocol they follow that I enjoy. If your story's being reviewed, you're not allowed to talk because some writers want to defend themselves, and that seems to dissuade because the purpose is. Does your reader pick up on it? And without going into the writing stuff again, so they send me the sort of the rules, like like the gang rules, what can get me jumped up, what can get me beat down. But they say, hey, first few meetings, we're probably not even gonna call on you, new fish. We want you to sit there, be eye candy, show up, shut up, and look good. I'm like, okay, I can do that. I read the stories, show up, sit down. I'm there 10 minutes, and they're like, all right, new fish, what do you think? And I'm like, what?
Well,
yeah, so I begin to ramble, and everyone looks at me like I have a learning disability of some kind, and I have to be like, but you told me you wouldn't call on me.
That is not exactly
Were your hands all
what
clammy
happened.
and nervous?
100%.
They're all clammy and chapped?
I was very, very chapped, very clammy. Lips were pursed in a fear-like expression.
There might have been mom spaghetti on your sweater,
Knees weak, arms and heavy. But what a wonderful time here to also talk about this week's trip, guys, that we are going into, pulling the truck over into Duke Cannon country. And this week's product I got for you here is the Duke Cannon Supply Company Bloody Knuckles Hand Repair Balm, made with lanolin, like sheep's wool. Formulated to repair the hands of workers, fighters, and world champions. And as it says here on the can, lots of ingredients, so I'm not going to read that shit. It's a wonderful product. I highly recommend it. Would you like to try some?
I've heard good things.
I would like to try
There you go.
some.
Go ahead. Yeah, just a little dab will do you there. I use it because we wear gloves a lot at the other job, and my hands get real dry. Just use like a little fingerful of it.
Oh, it smells
on
very
there.
nice.
Yeah, it's not over the top, not too spicy, not too smelly. Just wonderful. Just keeps your hands coated nice and wonderfully. This is not what you would call a man's recreational lotion. This is lotion with a purpose. All right. This is not sitting next to the tissue.
I love the name Bloody Knuckles.
Hey, I actually have their Bloody Knuckles hand sanitizer because I'm just trying all their products because I'm a whore like that and I get to say their name. But yeah, guys, don't forget here, check out our social media. That means the Facebook for This Evening Tonight podcast. And you can get yourself a 10% off coupon. Your order of Duke Cannon here, we will have the code up there on the Facey Space page. Also, it would only be valid 7 days as of tomorrow when this episode comes out. So you got 7 days to get yourself 10% off, or you got to wait until the next week, and then we'll get you another one. So, what else?
Don't procrastinate.
Well, all right, guys, it looks like we're all out of time here for this episode of This Evening Tonight. I was your host, River Sullivan, and with me here, my friends Matt and Mel. So, also, don't forget to check out the links that we'll have here for you below. What do you got here for us, Matt? You want to do some plugs?
Yeah, if anyone would like to kind of follow me on Twitter, it's Matt Smallwood. Of course, though, it's not actually Smallwood. It's SMALLW and then the number 20 because Twitter makes no sense. But it's Matt, SMALLW, and then the number 20. Like, follow, and subscribe.
And then we also have a link in the description below here for themetaworker.com. That is the online magazine that you are editor for.
Yes, a team. I just joined the team a couple months ago. I was an intern there, and they invited me on. But the Metaworker has a Discord server, and if you check out their website, there should be links to it. And this on the 30th, we're going to be hosting a live discussion with the author of his piece. So if you want to hop in and listen, it should be nice. It'll be on Discord, so you can ask questions.
I got the Discord.
Yeah, sorry.
I might have to actually direct Diego to this as well because he's got a lot of stories. So maybe he'd like to submit something. I don't know. I'll have to run it by him.
The staff are all wonderful. It's been great being part of the team.
Hell yes. Well, it was wonderful having you guys out here.
Thank you for having us, River.
Yeah.
Wish we could have stayed longer. I know you guys got plans. And then me and the old lady, we have plans to go eat in an igloo in Maryland, I guess.
Nice.
I like it. Don't eat the yellow snow.
Oh, absolutely. Have to save that for dessert. But all right, guys, don't forget all the other different ways that you can listen. Check us out on Amazon, TuneIn, iHeart Radio, Stitcher, Spotify, Sounder, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and the good old-fashioned YouTube if you want to see the bullshit fireplace a crackling in the background with none other than the one that you love, staring you into your gaping, soulful eye holes, Cat Damon. But all right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for stopping by. And until we see you here next time on the show, peace out.